Hello everyone, welcome to your Valley News Now update, and we're talking about road conditions here today. Duke Schindler here on the desk as we kind of move our way into the work trek home and giving you guys an idea of what things are looking like on the roads right now. We're going to check out some of those road conditions here in just a bit, but just kind of getting a run through on what we're experiencing, what we've experienced here so far, and what things are looking like here for the future. We're going to go over a little bit of what we're experiencing right now as Summer 10 minutes ago has a winter storm warning for areas along Highway 2 and north to the Canadian border. And if you were here the last stream, you can definitely see why. There was significant coverage on those roads, especially Highway 2. Travel remains impacted due to snow and slushy roads, while there is also a winter weather advisory for that same area as well. And there was definitely parts, I believe Lisa told us that parts of Devil's Lake may have gotten near 10 inches of snow. So if there's anyone in the chat right now that wants to drop a story or how difficult things may have been this morning, feel free. But we'll be checking out that area specifically as well as we move through kind of our hourly and what to expect here coming up, heading into the evening hours. Just about 2 p.m. here, heading into 3 p.m. We're just going to be sticking around 33, 32 degrees, right around that freezing area. And precipitation, I should say, is pretty likely. Pretty likely 70%, 60, 70, pretty much throughout the early evening hours, and then heading into the night. It tapers off just a little bit there. And we're going to take a look at the radar here in just a second, showing you what we've been through and what to kind of expect here. So let's see if we can get this pulled up, and we'll start with the past here. This is starting at about 8:15 this morning, and if you're out and about, you definitely know that you were a part of this. Definite significant coverage, and our neighbors up in Grand Forks also experiencing tons of snow too. But as we move through the early hours into 9 a.m., little bit of mix right there you can see with the pink/purple. And as we continue moving through this storm, it's a slow moving one, by the way, all the way up until about right where we are right now. And I just took a look outside. It looks like it may be a little like sleet, maybe a little bit of snow. That's going to be a lot of what we're experiencing here. That's all the way up to right now as Fargo's kind of in the mix of this entire storm that's wrapping around most of North Dakota, north to south, and getting into the cities as well as Rochester and Minnesota. That's kind of what it's looking like, or what we experienced. Now looking into the future and what our radar's looking like. We'll move it all the way back to where we are right now, about just after 2 p.m. And as we kind of move things forward, that storm is going to be significant. Or at least we'll be seeing steady snowfall here as the day and night moves on. And this is going all the way to about 8:45 here tonight. Still looks like Fargo is in the thick of things. Make sure you tune in to our newscast here tonight to get the full rundown, because obviously I would not have graduated with a meteorology degree or anything relating to science. That's kind of a look at what we're seeing right now and experiencing what's going on in the future. Now let's check out some road cams here, some of our sky cams as we move into these later hours. You can see a little bit there, some flakes kind of moving past that camera, but nothing too significant where it's going to be like, hey, we got whiteout conditions here now. We're not experiencing that right now. And we'll move up to Grand Forks, a place where there is significant snow, and pretty much the same as when I hopped on last. Still some significant snow coverage. I guess there's a little bit of melting there on some of the main roads, but overall there's still plenty of snow and wet slush, the gross stuff you don't want to be driving on, really. And to our Dakota Magic Casino cam, winds looking pretty significant right now. But just a few flakes. Maybe the visibility isn't that great there in Hankinson. You can see pretty violent winds here so far. All right. That's kind of a look at the weather we're experiencing right now, or just a look at it. And we'll head over to our road map now, what everyone's kind of waiting for here. I'll start south, heading up north. We'll go to Devil's Lake and then make our way back to around Jamestown here, just a little bit of the area. As we will be getting a weather update from either Summer or Russ here coming up, so they'll give you the full lowdown around 3 p.m., I'd imagine. But this is where we are right now, North Dakota 13. It actually looks a lot better than when we checked in last year. Still a lot more snow, I should say. A lot more coverage, or not as much coverage as we saw, but just looking at things, the visibility has dropped just a bit there. That is going to be 13 heading west into Morton, Barney, Richland County, that bit of an area. Near I-29, not too bad, not too bad. There is some snow still coming down in that area, but when it comes to the road conditions, looks like the rain or the temperatures we've had, those almost 40s, near 50s, maybe doing some work in melting this snow. All right, we get a little closer to Fargo, but a lot of the same. And I'd imagine at this point in time, this is kind of what we're going to see on the major highways of 29 and 94. We'll scrub through these pretty quickly unless we see something very significant. And if anyone wants me to check out a specific area, drop it in our Facebook Live comments here so I can take a look for you, because everyone's just trying to get home safe here tonight. Getting closer. Ooh, we got some traffic here as well. But otherwise, at the 52nd Avenue exit, really nothing too much of note, as we'll make it kind of the cross-section of 94 and 29 at the tri-level. Lots of moisture. That's what we're going to be experiencing. I'm sure those snowflakes that are going to be falling on your windshield will probably melt just about immediately. And we're near the 13th Avenue exit here on 29, but it's looking like a lot of the same. So yeah, we'll be kind of moving through this area pretty quick until we kind of get up to that Grand Forks, Devil's Lake area. Check in on US Highway 2 there as well, where there was very significant coverage. If you were here on our last stream, you saw it. Pretty nasty stuff up there. All right. Right south of Buxton here on I-29. Yep, a lot of the same. Picture is snapped at 2:06, so just a few minutes ago here. And then as we get into this striped blue, that's going to be scattered wet and slush, potentially, what drivers will be experiencing here. So make sure, obviously if the roads are clear, this is going to be one of those things where it could be very nice and favorable for the first few minutes of your drive. Then it can turn a little slick, maybe a little icy, some slush patches that can drag your car a little bit. And getting closer to Grand Forks on this very wet camera. That's not looking too bad if you're in the Grand Forks area. Also, let us know if you experience some significant snow there. Drop a comment, give us a story and whatnot. Getting a little west, starting on that, getting near US Highway 2 here. Heading into the solid purple, which would be snow-covered roads. You see a little bit of coverage here, but that's kind of on the edge of your ice, compacted snow, wet slush, and I'm sure a little bit of snow-covered roads. Can't tell if that's ice or not. Definite coverage there as we head a little closer to Lakota and Devil's Lake, where this is not the same picture we looked at an hour and a half ago, but it still looks about the same conditions-wise. This picture was snapped about 1:54. Still working on my military timing. Yeah, not favorable. And if anyone here was also driving on US Highway 2, let us know how really tough those conditions are. They do not look favorable. A little closer to Devil's Lake, some significant snow coverage, and that's going to be a place where sliding could be very prevalent too, as north of Fargo got colder temperatures, I should say. Easier to freeze around that part of town. Getting closer to Devil's Lake, and This one was snapped at 213. Oof. Yep. Can't assume many people are going to be driving the speed limit on there, probably significantly less. So if you're going to be heading that way back home from work, make sure you're taking it easy. Make sure you're giving plenty of space to the people in front of you, behind you, or as best as you can. Getting into Devil's Lake itself. Oh, we got some snowplows out. Yeah, they saw what was happening there. Clearing up a little bit of those roads around Devil's Lake, too. Doesn't look as significant as when you get a little bit outside of there and that region. We'll go a little bit south on or near Devil's Lake itself. Yeah. It looks like a little bit of snow melted from the last time we took a look at these specific pictures and this specific road at Cam, but looks like we had some melting, and that could easily turn into a little bit of slush there. I can't imagine it's very easy to drive through that. Kind of getting around Devil's Lake. This is on North Dakota 57. Hey, we got some snowmobilers taking advantage. Always got to take advantage when there's a nice coating of snow. But the road conditions themselves, it's not looking great. North Dakota 57 near US 2. And that's where Summer Schnellbach, our meteorologist, also let us know that that's where a lot of significant coverage will be. But that's what we're looking at. That's on North Dakota 57. Now let's head south and get around Jamestown. This is in New Rockford on US 281. Coverage, or I should say visibility, definitely not as great as we saw the last time we checked. And if you saw the radar, well, it's pretty much covering that entire region still at this point too. But that is unfavorable to say the least. Goodness. And it looks like we might have some blowing snow here too. A little bit of impact from the winds we've been seeing. That's right around New Rockford, by the way, US 281. And let's take a look a little west of Carrington, close to Bowden. One more here, this on US 52. Looks a little more favorable, but that's not saying much here at this point. Very, very gross conditions and very spotty here as well. You know, you can approach a stop sign, it's looking pretty good, but once you take a left, you take your right, you're maybe spinning your tires just a tad. All right, let's get a little west of Jamestown and move our way back to Fargo. This is on I-94. Last time we looked around this area on 94, it was very, very clean. So keep in mind, things can change very quickly around these areas. And with this type of system we're experiencing, that is definitely not as great. And as we get to Jamestown, too, a little bit more clear. Definitely more clear. So if you're driving outside west of Jamestown, you may be experiencing some spotty conditions. And it looks like this may be a closed road there near 94 as well. As you can see in our little key here, these closed block areas, and it's right near Medina that we're experiencing that. Yep, I-94 West road blocked, continuous ice. That's what you'll be experiencing if you're heading west of Jamestown or even into Jamestown. As you can see also on the key that there's going to be ice compacted snow with this little bit of a yellow bar. Now we check that cam near Jamestown, getting a little outside of it, closer and getting closer into Jamestown. It's not looking as bad as when you get out, but as storm systems and weather systems do, they move east, so that can happen quickly. The system can stick around. But right now, as you get closer to Fargo and outside east of Jamestown, it's not looking quite as bad. A lot of wets. You see the left lane looking pretty clear, but very spotty on the right-hand side. So it's going to be a mixed bag of what you're going to be expecting here on your trek home. Getting closer to Valley City and moving back to Fargo on 94 East. Kind of the same as what it looks like in Jamestown. Pretty clear-ish roads, as much as you can for a system like this kind of moving its way through. But snow is still coming down. So keep that in mind. And with snow comes freezing temperatures. With freezing temperatures, the roads may start to freeze. So black ice could be playing a factor into this one and your drive home. And for those that got to get off 94 and head north on 38, north of Buffalo, we do not have the cam popping up there. Oh, there it is. Picture snapped 209, just after 209. Visibility not great, not great. Looks like it's gonna be very spotty on whether the visibility is good, whether it's gonna be tough out there, and just the buildup of snow is going to be spotty as well. Wet roads here near Castleton on 94 may look like things could be starting to freeze, but overall not too bad. Considering the conditions, I should add on top of that. All right, moving closer to West Fargo. And that's, I'm going to assume here that it's going to be mostly clear as the storm or system makes its way back through the area. Yeah, just a lot of moisture on these roads, and that obviously can quickly turn to ice, black ice, get the car slipping. But overall, kind of what I predicted here. The major roads, I-94 getting out of Fargo, west and east, and then north and south of 29. Looks like those roads are being taken care of right now. Yeah, and that's a lot of what we're going to see here. 9th Street exit. Yep. Love it. All right, I don't see any comments here on places in North Dakota to check out, so let me mosey on over to our neighbors in Minnesota and see how things are working there. We'll start south again. South of 75 usually has a little something. This picture was snapped at 212, 215, just around that range. And we got some snow moving through the area, but the roads themselves look like they're doing a decent job of melting. And obviously, it's going to depend on how much more snow comes down, how heavy it is before it melts. All right, US 75 at 40th Avenue. Let's see if we can get a video fired up here. More snow than we did see the last time we checked this video in road cam. Well, it looks like traffic's moving pretty steady. Moving at a decent pace, and we'll continue moving on. All right. Now we're getting close to the cross of I-94 and 75. Yeah, I expect traffic lanes to be a little more full here coming today as people start moving a little slower, trying to get home safe. Give plenty of room in front of you. Hopefully the person behind you gives you plenty of room in case something happens. But overall, not too shabby. All right. 75, this is the cross near, what is that? Exit 1B in around Moorhead. Highway speed's looking pretty up to par, pretty normal. That guy might have been flying there on the bottom, but that is not my job. All right, northbound. Might have just checked this. All right, let's keep it moving. Get a little closer to Moorhead. Near the 24th Avenue stoplight. Yep, plenty of traffic. That's having that many tires kind of move through the area is always nice to help melt the snow. And then we'll get into Moorhead at our famous Dairy Queen near 8th Street, southbound. See if we can't get a little something pulled up here. That might be a negatory. Moving on. So from here let's go down 94, see if there's any more snow kind of moving through. Ooh, definite snow moving through the area now. If you were here on our last stream, about this far into I-94 heading east into Minnesota, really there wasn't really too much moisture, wasn't too much snow, but definitely far more significant here as we approach 2:30 or just after 2:30. But it looks like speeds are relatively the same. Driving the speed limit. All right. Let's get closer to Fergus Falls here. Okay, nothing too... As we get down a little further into 94, maybe a little less visibility, but it doesn't seem like there's too much snow making its way through. All right. No plow cams there in Fergus. That'd be crazy if Fergus looked like that, or just outside, I should say. And it does. Pictures snapped 226. Looks like once you get near Fergus Falls, it's not looking too bad. But like I mentioned before, systems usually always move east. So, all right, closer to Fargo, 20th Street westbound. Not looking too bad. And we'll pull up Dilworth, see what's popping here. Snow coverage, but nothing too crazy. Yep, looks just about right. Actually, this was the cam. If you've been joining me on these streams and road condition streams for a while, this is the street at 34th Street where we saw someone kind of book it across moving traffic and help out someone that may have had an accident. Still wondering what happened there. Looks like people are approaching the stoplight a little slower than usual, taking off a little slower than usual. May have some ice prevalence around those parts near 34th Street heading east, or heading into Dilworth, I should say. All right. Let's take a look and see if we can't find a little more action. We'll start near Crookston, or in Crookston, I should say. That's what things are looking like as of 2:08 p.m. Not much coverage. And getting closer to Grand Forks. This is right around Fisher on US 2, a road that has seen significant impacts from this system. All right, just east of Grand Forks, not looking too bad. Not looking too bad. And then heading right outside and right beyond the border. Looking pretty clear. All right. Let's head to Thief River Falls next. See what kind of cover. Okay. On Minnesota Highway 32. Picture snapped at about 2:21 p.m. here, just before 2:21, I should say. Significant coverage there. We got a plow cam out doing some work, clearing out that right side of the road. Left side looks very impacted. Just east of Thief River, little different story on Minnesota Highway 1. And heading towards Goodridge. Just a little bit of coverage. Nothing out of the ordinary for what we've just experienced here around the area. All right, let's get a little closer to the border, see if there isn't anything we can't see. 222, not looking too bad. That pink on the weather key, or I should say the road map key, pink is completely covered. Doesn't look so much so when you take a look at the plow cams, but obviously the DOT's got to play it safe here. All right, Minnesota Highway 11 looking much more significant. Potential ice there, slush, if you're heading that way. Or Minnesota 11, I should say. If you're heading that way on that road, make sure you're looking out for what could be waiting for you. Otherwise, road cam, yeah, that's definitely a covered road. Yeah, that's going to be a tricky one. So hopefully if you're near Donaldson, you're taking it very safe. That should do it. I think I may wrap up things right there. We'll check out Little Park Rapids. Just looks very wet around a lot of areas. It's going to be a lot of hit and miss here when it comes down to your drive home tonight. We've seen it. There's going to be some patches where, yeah, the roads are clear, they're wet, but then a little further down, west or east, you might see some more coverage, more slush, more wet snow, the stuff that can really drag your car around if you hit in the right spot. All right, let's take a look at the weather one more time before I send you off here, and then we're going to be having Russ or Summer, I believe, coming in for your full weather forecast. You won't want to miss that. Then we obviously have our afternoon update with Devin and Jessica. A lot of good stuff coming here on the desk as we take a look at 32 degrees, but light snow. And that may vary in different parts of Fargo, too. Very big and wide city where, you know, the south of Fargo may not have much, but then north of Fargo, you can see something really significant. Winds coming at 14 miles an hour, but that's not including gusts. And as we kind of move through the night, temperatures do dip a little bit, but it's going to be a slow process as we see precipitation. Actually, since the last time we checked and started this stream, we are at about 70% through pretty much 6 p.m. And now, well, it's looking like it's dipping just a little bit near that 40-50 range. So it looks like it's going to be a little spotty here as you make your drive home. And we'll check the radar one more time. We did check the past. This is what things are looking like right now on our weather radar on our Valley News Live website. Kind of just really in the thick of things, and not only for people in Fargo, but beyond. And Devil's Lake still looks like it's getting hit. It's going to be interesting to see the final numbers on really how much snowfall came down in that area. But I'd assume also it may be hard to count when we've had as much snow melt as we had. All right, heading into the future radar. This is as of 2:36. We'll just kind of scrub through, give you a look. Fargo's pretty much covered in this. This is all the way up to 5 p.m. My goodness, just look at that system. You get maybe, an hour break in between here, but then right behind you is another round. And it looks like this is just a slow mover on top of that, too. This is all the way into 9:15 tonight, and it really looks like Fargo's going to be in it the whole time. Obviously, you know, when you're at the tail end of a system like this, it could be very spotty. And as we saw, checking out a bunch of road cams, there's some places with snow, and then just a few miles down the road, there really isn't much. So, by and large, just be very safe out there. Acknowledge that things may change really quickly on those roads because we want everyone to get home safe here as a significant snow system moves through the area. But thank you very much for joining us here on your Valley News Now road conditions for the drive home afternoon update for Duke Schindler. Thank you very much for joining us here. If you got a smartphone, mobile device, make sure you have the VNL app downloaded on that. And then if you have a smart TV, Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, I finally nailed it this time. Get the VNL app on that as well. Then you can never miss another road conditions update or what else we're doing here on the desk because we have Russ coming in for a full weather forecast. Then, of course, like I mentioned, Devin Fry and Jessica Bringy will bring you your afternoon update and what's going on here in the newsroom. For Duke Schindler on the desk and Valley News Now, we will catch you later.